Why I'm here today is to be able to network people, learn from other people, the other speakers, about what's going on in their worlds in relation to the impact that telecoms can have on their environment.
I think there are two things. One is to actually bring everybody up to speed with what's happening in the industry, and actually the other most important side is what's happening outside. It's very rare for the industry to be able to get together, and all the different, because there are two sides to the industry really, the site providers and the operators side. So it's a very good opportunity for people to start to have a dialogue and put the past in the past for the last year and get together and hopefully have a bit more collaborative working in the future.
It's important that people speak to one another, especially where we have sort of changing legislation and should say more challenging times ahead.
I think it's vital, ultimately. I mean, speaking from my perspective, acting for landowner clients who've got big developments in London, it's a key part of their development scheme to ensure that if they've got particularly a mixed use development with both residential and commercial elements, that the residents are going to want to have, connectivity from day one, that they move in and get the keys, and the businesses are looking to get consent from the landlord to allow the various operators to put in broadband or fibres so that they can ensure that when their business is up and running they can start from day one. And without providing that, as an investment landlord with a new scheme, multi-million pound scheme, you don't really get off the ground in terms of being able to sell those sites or actually trigger completion. I mean, that's one of the big things now.
And it is extremely important to have all that connectivity, because ostensibly people are requiring the delivery of information and the transfer of information both from a fixed and wireless point of view in the future, and that is all delivered through telecommunication channels. That's why it's important.
I think one of the things that everybody here would say is consistency. What we're looking for is a good set of rules, and I think we've seen that there's big changes happened and more changes to come, and they're generally very, very positive. But it's then the consistency of application of them and the implementation of them. It's only with that you can then go through from people like ourselves, neutral host providers, to our customers, the mobile networks and other people, and say, yes, you can have this on this day and at this price. And we can only do that if the people that we rely on can do the same to us.
In my mind, I think we're seeing telecoms moving from what was initially a luxury to a utility. It's something that everybody needs to have, so it's going to become much more mainstream. It's going to be an expectation. I think it already is for coverage, and I think for the future we're looking at moving towards a utility model akin to the water board, electricity, pylons, rail infrastructure, road infrastructure throughout the UK.
It's one of change, constant change. I think it's more about making the technology transparent. It's about what it does for people that becomes more important than how it does it.
So I've been working on the reforms probably since about 2010, when the original Law Commission consultation was taking place, and have been keen to see the code reformed. And I think ultimately there are good points and bad points, whether you're looking at it from a landowner or an operator perspective. But overall, I think it's a good piece of new legislation. It's relatively clear. There's always going to be gaps because the draftsman can't cover every eventuality. But I think it will be useful to the industry in answering some of the difficult questions that the old legislation left. And I think it does that quite well.
I think, like all things, it's a step in the right direction to ensure that we can deliver high quality telecommunications for everyone as a matter of right. I think it will facilitate the delivery of a better quality telecommunications network. We just need to sit down, iron out the few wrinkles that may be in there, and ostensibly get people talking to one another. I think one of the key words that you've heard today is collaboration.
I think today's conference has been fantastic. Very different to last year. We've heard a lot about fibre, we've heard a lot about 5G. lots of interest in the code. I think we had some great presenters from a broad range across both government but also industry.
Feedback, it's essential. Every I think walk of life you're in is that you're trying to provide an environment where people can debate matters, talk things through, also be informed. But the most important thing is to get the feedback from people on what they're hearing and what they're feeling about things.